Hi, today we are going to build these two video light stands for about $4 each. Okay, so I have already downloaded all the necessary STL files, and the clamp and the wheel itself can be printed with default settings, but the stand is a little bit different in that it comes as two different files, and let's take a look at them now. As you can see, the stand itself has a slot in the bottom, and then there's this separate file which will act as a stiffener. So we don't have infill in the complete part, but we get these perimeters around the stiffener. Personally, I'm using Simplify 3D, so let's start with this, and afterwards we take a look at PrusaSlicer. So what we can do in Simplify 3D is first of all select both models, then go to Edit and align selected model origins. Next we add a second process and make sure under Other the horizontal size compensation is set to 0, and we will select just one model for this process, and then the other process we had at the start, we will select the other model, and this way if we go to Slice and select All, and we want to select continuous printing layer by layer, we get nice arm perimeters on the inside. And this will act as a stiffener, making the stand much more stiff in the right direction. If you are using PrusaSlicer, we can add the models in a similar way. First of all, we go to Configuration and change the mode to Expert. And next we add just the stand. Now right click the 3D model, go to Add Part, Load, and select the stand stiffener. Next select the stiffener itself, and on the right hand side we can use the little gear next to stand-stiffener.stl to add a setting, layer and perimeter, and select perimeters. And now if we have selected layer and perimeters, we will increase the number of perimeters to 3. And if we now go to Slice, again we get nice walls on the inside of the part, making it much more rigid in the right direction. Okay, so I have laid out all the parts we need for this project, and now that we're done with the 3D printed parts, let's start with the flash shoe adapter that came with the lights. And what we will do now is replace the part that interfaces with the camera with one that can clamp to the aluminum tube. And for that we will reuse both the screw and the nut. And we will first insert the nut by hand and then use the screw to pull it all the way in. And as you can see, the tilt mechanism works just fine. And we will use a similar process to clamp the part to the tube, but now we will use a hex head screw and a 3D printed thumb wheel. And don't worry if the nut is hard to push in by hand, we can again use the screw to pull it in all the way. And if we now loosen the screw again, we should be able to insert the aluminum tube. So now all that's left to do is to add the base plate, and as it's held in place by a press fit, we will gently tap it in place. Okay, so that required a bit of sanding, but now the tube fits quite nicely. And as you can see, if we loosen the screws, we can adjust height, rotation, and tilt.